What's up guys, it's Matt. In this video we'll be talking about the cycle of doom and how to avoid this as a trader. So this will be especially important to beginner traders. So if at any point in time, as always, if you find these videos helpful, be sure to drop a like on this one and subscribe to this channel. So the cycle of doom begins when you have a trader that is starting off by looking at a certain trading strategy, or they might have already backtested a certain strategy. So in this case, let's say they have a trading strategy that involves the exponential moving average that's set to a length of 6. But what happens is after using this strategy for maybe a couple of days or a few weeks, what ends up happening is that eventually they encounter some type of loss or losing streak. So what they'll do next is they'll look to tweak their trading strategy. So if their exponential moving average was initially set to 6, they'll figure, okay, I'm gonna set it to 8. And so at this point, I believe that I'm not going to experience any more losses. Or now in another example, let's say that we have another trader that in this case, they might stick to the original plan of relying on the EMA that's set to a length of 6, but they feel as though only having one indicator is not bulletproof enough for their strategy. So what they'll do is they might add an additional indicator, like something perhaps like the Ichimoku cloud, or they might add the volume indicator. So now they tell themselves that, okay, before I take any trade, I need to make sure that I have a divergence in the price action combined with the volume indicator. And on top of this, they might go even further where 2 or 3 indicators is not enough. So they'll look to add an additional 2 or 3 indicators. And so now an interesting thing happens where before they take any type of trade, they feel as though all of the stars need to be lined up for their indicators, and they might even encounter something known as analysis paralysis. So this is where they will overanalyze a situation. So they'll need to, they feel as though all the indicators need to be lined up a perfect way before any trade is taken. And so at this point, they might never take a trade, or if they do take a trade, they will just overanalyze it to the point of where psychologically they will feel as though they never want to take a trade again because they might encounter another loss. And so based on this logic, they'll feel as though adding even more indicators is safer because now you have a strategy that's going to win 99 or 100% of the time. Or if they don't have multiple indicators and maybe they're relying on one strategy, maybe it's even without an indicator, well, what they'll do is they'll constantly tweak it. So this video isn't meant to only talk about indicators. This can also apply to someone's strategy that simply is based off of price action. So maybe they are taking a trade that's based off of support and resistance, but they feel as though when they take a trade with a certain stop loss or a certain take profit point, it doesn't work out every time, and so they'll end up tweaking it each and every time. So in the beginning, they might have a stop loss that's normally set to, let's say it's the Forex market. So they might have a stop loss that's always set to 10 pips, then they set it to 15, then they encounter another loss, so they set it to 20, then they encounter another loss, so they end up setting it to 40 pips. Then they feel as though their risk to reward ratio isn't perfect, so now they set it down again, etc., etc. And this is where you encounter the cycle of doom. But the harsh truth about trying to find the secret Holy Grail trading system is that it simply does not exist. So unless you're in the 0.01% of insider traders that gets insider knowledge, then yes, of course, in this case, you will have a significant edge over everyone else. But even then, you won't be right 100% of the time. So even the top traders in the world aren't right on every single trade that they take throughout their entire life. And so what this means is that eventually we will all encounter some type of loss or losing streak, which is why trying to find the perfect trading strategy is not going to save you or prevent you from eventually encountering a loss. And so it doesn't matter which trading strategy you have or which trading style you have, you will always encounter some type of trade-off. So even if you have an aggressive trading strategy where you're taking multiple trades off of the 1 hour time frame and you're taking every single potential breakout opportunity, well, in this case, the pros would be that you probably take more trades, so you have a larger sample size. You probably won't miss out on many trading opportunities or any potential breakouts in the market, but the cons are that you might encounter more losses more frequently, and so this might psychologically affect you if you're someone who's easily affected by encountering more losses. And so when it comes to all of this, we have to remind ourselves that probability is a reality when it comes to being a trader. But here's the interesting thing, right? Even if you understand that probability is a real thing, this doesn't mean that subconsciously you will want to accept it. So maybe you understand that, okay, trading involves encountering some type of loss or losing streak, but regardless, I'm gonna keep tweaking my trading strategy and I'll keep looking for the Holy Grail trading system in hopes that I'm one of those traders out there that rarely encounters a loss. But you will have different trade-offs. So for instance, let's say that you do analyze the markets and you extensively backtest your strategy and you have a winning percentage of 90% or 95%. What this might affect is your risk to reward ratio. So you might have a horrible risk to reward ratio, or even then your trading strategy might only work for a certain asset under a certain market. So instead of being stuck in this endless loop of where you're trying to find the perfect trading strategy that no one else knows about and is guaranteed to give you consistent profits each day, what's better is to first start off by not using any sort of indicators and to simply go back and extensively research the markets as a technical trader and start off with the foundations of understanding the market structure and how the market structure changes, understand price action, understand supply and demand and how supply and demand affects the market, as well as why market manipulation occurs. So understand how institutions might look to trap certain traders in certain positions, or how they might look to liquidate certain traders before the trend ends up shifting in their direction. And so this is where some traders, once they understand the overall foundation of the markets first, they might not use any sort of indicators anymore, which have their own pros and cons. And other traders, they might understand the price action and the market structure, but they will choose to have one or two indicators on as an additional secondary confluence. So something like perhaps volume, or they might have a moving average, but they understand its limitations. And then after this is where you would do extensive backtesting and research in order to find your probable trading strategy, which once again will have its own pros and cons. So you might have a certain risk to reward ratio with a winning percentage maybe of 70% or 80%, and this would be collected through hundreds, if not thousands, of trades of past market data. And then once you have this, you would stick to this. So that's the most important point, which is sticking to your trading strategy, sticking to it in the long run. And so at this point, instead of constantly tweaking it, you understand that if you do go through a probable loss or losing streak, it's not the end of the world, and that as long as you stick to it, your odds are more likely in your favor, as opposed to constantly changing your strategy, which will now affect your long-term odds of what you've backtested. So as always, if you guys found this video helpful, then be sure to drop a like and check out my trading community. The link is in the description to the Discord app, as well as the Telegram app. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.